All right, thank you so much for joining me today. So today we're talking about transformational mentorship, cultivating purpose-driven youth. That's the goal of the discussion, and I want you to think about this critical question: Who would mentor the next generation? Because without transformational mentorship, a generation will be lost in illusions. But with it, we will be able to build sustainable impact. And when I say we, both the mentor and the mentee will be able to build something worthwhile that would last for a lifetime. So I need us to know that mentorship comes with a lot of diligent price. It comes with a lot of discipline. It comes with a lot of consistency. It comes with a lot of effort. If we don't put in this effort, if we don't co-build together or co-create together, and when I say co-create, I'm talking about from the mentor to the mentee. In every system where you get to, you would always have the leaders in the system who either by skill or by number of years, they have gone many years ahead of you. And justifiably so. It's why it's good to have these people because they come with a lot of experience. They come with years of seeing problems and solving those problems. So even when you're very intelligent, you're very smart, if you get into a system and you think you can find your way around it without the experiences of these people, you will definitely run into trouble. However, I want to set some platform or pedestal for what excellent mentorship should be, who a mentor should be, who a mentee should be, what are the key challenges that we're facing in the world that we live in the world that we currently live in. When you meet a young mind in any new system, either they are 45, they are 80 years old, no matter what their chronological age is, you would notice one crucial thing. The first question is, why can't I be successful now? Everyone wants to succeed. Like I joined a new organization today, I just want to earn the salary of the CEO. Or as a young mind who just graduate from medical school, from the university, you just want to earn the salary of your MD, that's the medical director, or maybe if you get into an organization, your mindset is just how much is the CEO or the COO or the CFO earning? Why can't I just earn that amount? You meet some people, they'll tell you, if I'm collecting this amount of money, is not too bad. Why should I work under someone when I can start my own? Why do I have to be patient when others are making it overnight? You hear statements like, I want to blow, I want to make money out of normal proportion. Why should I start more when I deserve more? And when you look at it from the superficial level, you would think justifiably so, these questions are genuine, they are real. But they are just a manifestation of a deeper problem from the heart, a deeper problem that the heart or the mind of the person who is thinking or behaving with the context in the context of these questions is actually facing. When you ask me, I've met a couple of young minds that told me, look, what can I do to make $1 million? Like, and you're looking at someone in grade 4, grade 5, and I'm talking about like primary school or elementary school here, and he's already thinking about, okay, so what job do you do? Like, how much do you make per annum? They're interested in how much do you make. None of them had ever asked me, so what number of years of training got you to this point? What's the discipline? What's the price paid? What they want to know is, so what do you do? How juicy is the offer of in what you do? Can you tell me a little bit about how much I can make? Those are the key questions when I go for a career day talk with kids here in the United States and even in Africa. So when you look at all these questions, they are not the question themselves are not the problem. It's the mind that is asking this question that needs some genuine answers, and hopefully they are able to hold on to those genuine answers and do what's needed. But I want you to know that there are a lot of struggles with many young minds today. And I'll pause a little bit here because I want this thing to marinate from your mind to your heart. The first thing you need to get is that there are unrealistic expectations fueled by different platforms that we connect with. Our educational system fuels a lot of different unrealistic expectations. They train you as a mechanical engineer, and they told you, look, once you just get out there, you have all it takes to fit in. When you get on the job, you will discover that there's a lot you don't know about human management. There's a lot you don't know about your social environment. There's a lot you don't know about your political landscape. There's a lot you don't even know about the new technology that is already ravaging your industry. There's a lot you just don't know. But the educational system does make you understand that once you have a master's or a PhD, you're just the best in the field. Just keep making the money, and that's unrealistic expectation. The music world, the social media world, the movie industry, all this had created a lot of illusions and pictures of how people just wake up on one side of the road, and before they know it, someone just picks them up and gives them millions of naira in contracts, and they just become a social media influencer. And so everybody is positioned to be like, okay, maybe as I'm going out today, I'll just meet a guy beside the road who will just be a manager. He will just pick me up and then turn me into a brand. That's the mindset of every average person. Or I'll just go into politics and then I'll just get into the Senate and then we just bring out money. Trust me, when you go into those processes, you will know the pressure it takes to even fit in those environments. So this leads to continuous emotional breakdown. Of course, there's increasing comparison amongst youth. There's exposure to a lot of misleading information. People just say, okay, word of affirmation, believe in yourself, and a lot of misguided. It distorts the reality because this information misguides the due process that people are supposed to go through. Are you not supposed to be confident? Yes, you are supposed to be confident, but you're supposed to be confident when you have built competence and character. You're supposed to become confident when you have built a system of compassion courageously around you. You're supposed to be confident in something that is strong. So let me give you a very good example of how you will know misguided confidence. I know many years in some country they built some bridge, and it took number of years before those bridges were even commissioned, if they need to be commissioned really. But and I heard that one of the reasons why they are not confident about the usage of the bridge is because they were not sure about the structural integrity of the bridge. If it's going to be able to carry the weight of vehicles that it was planned to or designed to carry. Why are they not confident? Because they knew that what they built isn't strong enough to carry that weight. So the reason why people run with misguided confidence is because they have not built the structural capacity required. You have not, and you have to build over time. You have to build with the needed material, the needed quality and quantity of material that is needed. So you will be running on misguided confidence when you have not actually built properly, and you build properly based on sound information. So when you keep getting exposed to misleading information that tells you that you can succeed in less than 3 months, in less than 6 months, within 1 year, then your reality is already distorted. You're looking for that loophole, that pathway to become great without paying the genuine price. And that's really critical in this journey, and that leads to frustration, like I said earlier. Then there's a lot of entitlement. People want instant recognition, instant gratification. The one that worries me the most is the immature expressions, and with the outburst about quitting, which shows youthful impulsivity. One thing I want you to know is that if you it aligns with marriage, young minds in marriage, you start hearing themselves out saying, we want to quit, we want to quit. When you hear anyone who just wants to quit, I want to quit my job, I want to quit I want to quit this, I'm tired, I'm out. If you are thinking that way, if your option comes with quitting every time, you probably might be, of course, you will be young, and then you will be mature. A lot of matured minds have grown over time to understand that quitting is not an option, that you must build with a matured mindset. And when you threaten without burst of quitting, and there are no justifiable evidence of maltreatment, or maybe you have created a false world around the process by which things are being done in a system, then you probably might be demonstrating some youthful impulsivity. Now, I don't want to put all the burden on the young mind. I also want to know that the adults to have their own struggles. So if I'm thinking about anyone in any field who's been there 15, 30 years, I laugh a lot when I join different projects. And when you ask people, for how long have you been in the industry? People will just quote some unreasonable number of years, and it's been happening more and more times that I've ever seen. You see a young mind telling you, I've been here 30 years, I've been here 15 years, I've been here 17 years. So in my mind, sometimes I want to ask that, sorry, were you here in utero? Like, have you been here from from when you were in kinder? Because when you see someone who's probably like Perry 40 who says I have 30 years of experience. So I want to wonder when you've started the experiences from. But it stands to reason. It looks like the world celebrates the more number of years as against the quality in those years. But the struggle with the adult is that a lot of matured adults who even have the capacity to mentor the young mind, to lead the young mind, they have their own personal limitations and time constraint as well. No matter how genuine I want to be to people, even if I want to mentor you, I would have to repurpose my time because it's going to take some dedication, some commitment. And even you as a mentee, it will take a lot of commitment from you and time. So there are personal limitations. I'm time constrained. I also have other things I'm committed to, which I will not want to trade off so easily, especially if I don't have the strong commitment from the mentee. The second part is emotional intelligence and communication. You see, there's the inability for a matured person. It's a difficult thing for a matured person to cope with the immature expression from a younger person. So you can imagine, I want to mentor you now, but all you're still telling me is I want to quit my job. I want to quit this. I'm not longer out. Why do I have to wait for this number of years? Or you even talk to them and they don't even respond, or they ignore you. There's no even communication. You are not able to establish that connection, that communication, because, and I'll talk about it in a little while, because their own worldview is just different from yours. And as much as you want to adapt to them, you could also struggle with lack of adaptability because you also, as an adult, or maybe myself as an adult in this case, may also have some rigid adherence to the traditional processes by which I was raised. For them, they see the world traveling faster in an hyper-connected way. And so that creates an illusion that creates a different illusion about the truth of the human reality and the process of building something worthwhile or something strong. If you want to understand the concept of the value system of the way the world is built on processes. I can tell you that over and over because if you notice, every forest starts with a tree, starts with some set of trees. Cross-pollinations of few seeds leads to some new trees, and gradually over years. Tell me about something in this universe that Mother Nature has done that did not grow over time. Even human existence grew from Adam and Eve to about 8 point something billion humans today. So why do you think that you will not go through traditional growth process? Now, this is where the confusion lies. People build the growth process only on the capacity to have money. And that's where the problem is. So when you see someone buy a new car quickly or get a good job quickly, you think that they've actually become a better version. So there is this discontinuity between the having of money, that's having, and the true becoming of a transformed mind. So you could give $1 million to a poor mind, and you could give $100,000 to a transformed mind, and the result of the $100,000 for a transformed mind will far outweigh that $1 million to a less transformed mind. You may not see the result immediately, but just allow time. Evaluate them in 10 years. Evaluate that family in 20, in 30, in 35 years. So don't just jump at a conclusion because of what is happening today. Allow time, allow evaluation over time. And you will see that the value system of humility and patience is far more important than the value system that is just self-focused, focused on instant gratification. Now, we also have a complex world we have plunged ourselves into, especially in the workplace. There's digital transformation. So the older guys struggle with the reality of digital transformation. And because with digital transformation, the industry knowledge is changing rapidly and is made available even to younger minds. So you could have a young person resume today and probably has access to a platform like ChatGPT. And if there's any question you're asking, the guy runs on ChatGPT, asks the question, and gets the answer immediately. In my own days when I was just young in the profession, in quality improvement, the best I had was Google. But now, if I have any question I need to ask, I will just plunge into ChatGPT, cloud, different forms of AI platform, and I'm able to generate enough information that can keep me going. So, with this, the first question is, do I really need you as a mentor? Because what do you want to tell me that I won't get from AI? So now that throws me into another problem, information overload. Now, even the mentor are swarming themselves in a lot of information. And now, how do I determine which one is credible and which one is a misinformation? The next thing is that for leaders, capacity is lost. Capacity is lost because as you grow as a leader, you will start going through a lot of challenges. When you are being challenged as a person in your growth process, you will lose some to character. You will do some things that you will not be proud of. You will lose some to competence because maybe some things you really want to learn perfectly well, you don't either have enough time or the structural limitations to even learn. So your competence is not at par with what you think should happen globally. In some cases, because of the bruising of the whole process, you may lose even your compassionate nature. You may lose your capacity to even encourage yourself. So, in some cases, the problem with some adults is that it's not like they do not want to even mentor, but even they themselves have lost the capacity for leadership. Along the line, they've committed some crimes, they've done some things that even the quality of their words cannot hold water in that environment again. Hence, no matter how intelligent or brilliant they are or who they have become, it becomes more difficult for them to even mentor young minds because the young mind can easily use their loophole against them and say, okay, I see that that's why you didn't make it through. And of course, that would just break that form of relationship. Then the final thing I would love to talk about is that for the people who over time have become maybe expert or matured or of age, they become more authoritarian. Somehow they want things to be done in a certain manner, which they have understood the world over time. Whereas the reality of the world is that we have moved rapidly from being having that sage standing on the stage and telling us what to do to now having leaders who will be a facilitator, who will be by our side, and who will be able to guide us into the reality. So, when I talk about transformational mentorship, it's a deep and purpose driven relationship between a mentor and a mentee that goes beyond skill development to inspire holistic growth, impact, and fulfillment of destiny. At this point, I would like to pause to establish something. This kind of relationship there has to be a deep connection. So there's this concept of connection before content. Before a leader can pour into a follower, before a mentor can pour into a mentee, and before you can have that flow, there has to be a connection. So that means the person must recognize a capacity, a talent, something in you that will bring that connection, okay? Or something like a compassionate ground that will bring that connection, and it will be based on, it will be purpose driven. The crucial thing is that in most cases, we have a critical challenge. The mentee is always looking for a job, or the mentee is looking for money. Or let's say the mentee is always looking for how can I make ends meet? And I'm trying to be practical now. It's as bad as the mentee can just be looking for how can I get a new phone? How can I get a new laptop? Or even the money to feed tomorrow, or the money for data. It's so many things. The mentee just is looking for money to fulfill their immediate gratification. That's today. The mentor is someone who is experienced and is looking at your 5 years, your 10 years time. Now, so there's a mismatch between what the mentor is looking at for you and how he is already thinking how if you are able to adapt to this process over 5, 10 years, you will be way, way better. But if I give you little money today, little money here and there tomorrow, you will be so relaxed, you will not pursue purpose. So the battle between mentorship is such that the mentor is thinking long and deep and purpose and holistic growth, a growth that goes to your family, to your social life, to your spiritual, emotional, intellectual network. Whereas the mentee is looking at how can I make money now? And he's just looking at just the financial part alone. He's looking at, I just need a job now. And when I get the job, don't worry, I'll sort out other things. But it doesn't always happen that way. If you really want to be fulfilled and you want to have a fulfilled life, you would want to have an excellent and a balanced kind of life that at the family front, at the spiritual front in your career, being an emotionally intelligent person, physically in your health, social networking, you want to ensure that you have built good social structure. So the concept of transformational mentorship is as I will love us to look at it, is a kind of holistic pattern where you're not only making it academically and your family is suffering, or you're not only getting a job, but you're not even building a career. Because it's not just about securing the job. Then what's next? So mentorship is a process that requires a lot of patience, both for the mentor and the mentee. And I'll say this at this point. The idea is that the mentor may have a lot of information, a lot of experience, a lot of excellent ideas that they want to pass across to the mentee. However, the mentee also has an advantage. They are closer to the people. They are closer to the social environment where the mentor most likely would have disconnected themselves from. So the mentees are the ones who bring information to feed the mentor. A lot of times when I listen to some people, they think I'm actually listening to them because we're friends or because of the relationship, right? Yeah, in part, yes, I'm actually listening to you that way. But the idea is that I'm actually listening so that I can understand what is happening in my social world. Because the truth is, if you really want to be someone with a great mind, at some point you will need to isolate yourself from the real world. And then at some point you need to assimilate back. So that continuous balance between isolation and assimilation is what makes an excellent mentor a mentor, a transformed mentor, if I can put it that way. So for you as a mentor, you need the mentee to always understand what is happening in the real world. So that means they bring the information to you. You process the information like an engine, like a machine, like a CPU, like a processing unit. You process it, you are able to use the information you get from them to understand the view of the world, to classify the world into socialized mind, evolving mind, and transforming mind. And then you're able to churn out back to the mentee that, look, in all this chaos, this is the most important thing for you to do at this point. If I were in your shoes at this point, this is what I would do. So let me throw an example. I have a young guy who is just a recent graduate of a university and he's been reaching out to me. I want to do this. I want to do this. He had listed out like 7 things he wanted to achieve and everything. And I told him, look, this is the one thing I think is important for you now. In all you're getting, try as much as possible to get this. Now, if I were in your shoes with everything you have explained to me, all these 6 other things will readjust or realign themselves if you're able to correct this one thing. Of course, till now, he still has some struggles with the choice I made for him because, in a way, I said I don't also want to be rigid. But I've tried to lay it bare to him and explain everything and give him my own view. But it still boils down ultimately to him to make the choice. He has to choose, he has to hone, he needs to have a voice in his choice, and he needs to be sure that whatever I've even chosen for him applies authentically to his real world. Because if it does not, I would not even advise him to pick it. So the truth about it is, even for me, mentoring someone, it's a real lot of work with a lot of patience, a lot of humility to even accept that I'm wrong sometimes. To be able to tell myself, no, I don't think even the decision I'm making for this guy. And at every point when I say I make decisions, it's not like I've forced it on him. What I've done is I've laid bare all the 7 options he had given to me, and we had checked the pros and cons of all the 7, and we have made up our mind that, okay, this seemed like the fairest pathway that, and you need a core that can hold the others into form. So if you choose this would really help the other 6 to fall in line. So mentorship is a process that requires a lot of patience, a lot of humility, and both from the mentor, a lot of dedication, a lot of action. Sometimes when you get a request from your mentee that, can I have some 30 minutes tomorrow to discuss something? You start, it's going to be a process where it would require you to intensify some energy, and because of that it needs some dedication and some actions. And so because of that, you're also careful not to give answers that they want to hear, because in most cases people come to you with already premeditated answers. They only want you to validate them, and so you have to be careful if those answers are not especially when they want the easy way out, the easy answers, and it becomes difficult. I was joking with someone a couple of days ago, and the idea is that okay, so this is my wife, and she was worried about the pressure of rising into some great world, and how it will put a lot of pressure on you, on the family, on the kids, on everything around you. And the first response that came out of my mouth is, okay, so if you really want your name to count in history, if you really want to make history, then you should not be scared about going into a system that will put you under pressure. So as a true mentor, what I'm saying is, don't always go or settle for the easy answers. In fact, the most important thing is that you be built into a solution yourself. So either as a mentee or as a mentor, it's a tough journey, it's a tough call for both parties, and that's what makes mentorship a very difficult process. And so permit me to tell you who a mentor should be, and so perhaps you would understand. And I can also at this point tell you that you will never find a perfect one. If you're looking for that Mr. Perfect mentor, you won't find one. So in the journey of your life, you will not also have one mentor. You will outgrow some. So please absorb that reality and love it. Even if I, by privilege, become your mentor, you could outgrow me. And I, as a mentor, I should also be happy for you that way. I should not want to hold you down because I feel I know more than you. No, you could outgrow me. I could outgrow my own mentor too, especially when I'm someone who is prone to consistent learning and application. I will definitely outgrow my mentor pretty fast. If my mentor also is not someone who is given to learning, it becomes faster to outgrow a mentor who is not given to continuous learning. And it's your responsibility to know when you have outgrown them and when you need to move on to the next person. Just like a student will move from an elementary school to a middle school to a high school and to a college. You cannot force a college student to stay in an elementary school. There will be chaos in that elementary school. So a mentor is a person of wisdom, character, experience, who guides, inspires, and nurtures others on their journey of growth and transformation. I said there won't be a perfect mentor, but there are some things that you don't want to not happen. You don't want a mentor who is not wise. You don't want a mentor who is not a person given to strong character. And then you don't want a mentor without an experience. So imagine you jumping on an aircraft and the pilot says, look, I'm not a person of character because I drink. I drink a lot and I'm reckless. You know the person is not wise. He's not a person of character. And to crown it all off, the pilot says, look, this is my first flight from simulation. I'm just taken from simulation school and this is my first flight. I'm sure none of you will remain on that aircraft. By the time the guy is done introducing, the next thing you will tell the hostess is, please, I need to jump out of this machine now. So if that happens to you physically, because you know the immediate consequence of that, how come or how would you go and throw yourself into the hands of a senior colleague who you think is not making wise choices with his life, who you think character-wise may not be optimal and may not have the perfect experience? But I want you to also be careful at this point, because I also said something that you probably may not find a very perfect mentor. So there comes the wisdom for you to distinguish between the things you would choose and the things you will not choose. It is also your responsibility. I love defining wisdom as the capacity to choose between right and wrong and to prevent yourself from being misled. So, if you're a mentee, you also need to have wisdom and you must prevent yourself from being misled. So, as much as possible, you may learn from the experience of some people, but you may understand that they have some major character flaws that you will need not to learn. And at any point when you have the strength or the capacity to avoid that, please make sure you stand against those things. Now, usually people think mentors should be teacher, advisor, coach, parents. Yeah, they could in a way have those features. Some of them could be excellent at that even. But you see, it's always an important thing that a mentor is someone who has undergone a deep personal transformation, especially spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. It's been a struggle in recent time, especially with the pressure around. You see a lot of pressure from parents over their kids, especially parents who have not undergone some deep personal transformation. If they are not careful, if kids, the kids who now be the mentee in this case are not careful, they could emotionally manipulate them. They could leverage on spiritual concept, mental concept to even want to manipulate them. I was talking with a friend last Saturday, and he was deeply just analyzing how things could be. He's of Korean descent, and how they could leverage your weakness emotionally as a child if you're not careful. So why am I saying this? I am saying this because anyone who you would also submit to as a mentor must have undergone some deep personal transformation, and they must be someone who is spiritually secured, strong, emotionally balanced, stable, matured, and who can also distinguish or help you understand when you are even emotional yourself, and someone who is intellectually smart. You need some intellectual stimulation if you will lead some great journey in your life. So you need someone who is mentally sound. And so with this, you will know that getting a mentor is not just a joke as it goes, because a mentor must have gone through some significant personal, professional, spiritual growth, and they must have emerged stronger. Another key factor for me, if I were to advise you to choose a mentor, is that the person must be spiritually rooted and disciplined. The reason why this is crucial and critical is that every spiritual depth of system has its own price to be paid. Have his own integrity, has his own way of making the person understand the true essence of themselves, and so with that, it strengthens the stability of that person in the way they look or view the world and the way they're able to guide you. Every mentorship process must be anchored in purpose, in vision, and in continuous learning. Once this number 3 line is missing, then you guys are just friends. It's as simple as that. Someone who is guiding, supporting you must also be able to align you with the purpose, align you with the vision, align you with the concept of, okay, so this is the next thing to learn. A very good example is the Chinese or Japanese martial art world. You would always see the leader telling them, okay, this is the next fight you need to engage in. So you need to go and do this set of trainings to be able to do this. And once they master that and they're able to conquer that, you will discover that the coach has another coach that the initial guy does not know. And they will now say, okay, now that you have fulfilled all the righteousness in this layer, I will introduce you to another superior coach. By the time the guy thinks, okay, I'm now landing with the new superior coach, you will discover that, wow, there's still a lot to be learned in this world. By the time you fulfill that coach and you think, okay, now I'm now the superhero, super champion, someday you just meet another guy who will tell you there's another superior coach. And you will be so surprised that by the time you get to meet the new coach, you'll hear that even with all the results you think you've had, there's still another set of learning ahead of you to be done, which will stretch you again. So, and it's always anchored into a purpose. Okay, once you win this range of fight, you become this kind of champion. Okay, if you win this range, so there's a concept called shuhari, where shu means you're learning, you're trying to understand the boss. Ha pad means, okay, now you're equilibrating with your boss, and re means you're now creating your own new reality, creating the rules. So in the early phase, you can't create rules. So as a mentee, you must understand that. And as a mentor, you must lead your mentee to guide them. So mentorship is anchored in purpose, in vision, and in continuous learning. Mentors, because of their experience, they must be willing to serve, to give, and to forgive. So you need someone who is compassionate and patient with you. Sometimes they may allow you some time to go through your mistakes, but they must be also ready to forgive you. Mentors are someone who would enlighten, encourage, empower, and challenge you. So if you have the privilege of someone in your environment who is always pushing you, challenging you, and who is able to fulfill some other of these qualities, I would say it's a rare privilege you've had, and I'll tell you to embrace that kind of relationship and invest in it. Foster long-term growth and multiplication. Now let's balance it on the other side. Who is a mentee, or who is a youth? Who is a young person in an environment? A mentee is an individual who is willing to learn. So you can see the first word, willing. There must be willingness to pursue, willingness to learn, willingness to grow, to be transformed under the guidance of a mentor. In most cases, you seek the wisdom, the knowledge, the experience. Let me establish this thing. There are three things, three words, and that's the area I will take from next month when I'm continuing this series. I said it earlier that this is going to be a series. And because it's going to be a series, I'll love you to please join next month and the month after, because I want to create a framework that would help you understand. One great thing about the relation between mentor and mentee is that there's always power imbalance, there's always wisdom imbalance, and there's always love imbalance. And over time, you may be able to equilibrate the power, equilibrate the wisdom, and equilibrate the understanding of leadership love. So next week I'll do that that framework, and then you would see. So basically, a mentee cannot be a passive recipient of this thing. You can't be a passive person and just play the passive role. You must be active in pursuit of the transformation journey. Because I've known quite a number of people, they just want to follow passively and no full commitment. When the benefit shows up, they want to maximize benefit. When the pain of the process shows up, they want to minimize or avoid the pain. It doesn't work that way. If you're going to be a mentor-mentee, then you have to embrace both the pain and the benefit. So because it's a transformational journey, I will not tell you, I hold you the truth, and I want you to know that it's going to be tough, it's going to be painful, it's going to be challenging. And that's the reality. But I also hold you the responsibility to tell you that you must embrace the challenges. And I also hold you the ultimate responsibility that if you embrace the challenge, it will become sweeter very soon. Who is a mentee? Someone who is eager for growth and transformation, who is teachable, who is willing to learn, someone who is committed and disciplined, and someone who is ready to be accountable and responsible. You're accountable, you're willing to go above and beyond to open up and tell them, this is the reality in my life. I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with this challenge. Sometimes it could be very personal challenges that you're struggling with, but you are open enough to tell them, okay, I'm struggling in this area. I remember a couple of years ago, I was struggling financially, and I had to discuss with someone who is like a mentor in that area. And the guy told me, okay, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? I said, okay, I have this, but I don't have this. And I said, okay, join this group. If you join this group, it will help you. You can align your processes such that at every point when you need money to either pay your college fee, tuition fee, or something, you could align yourself. And trust me, since I've done that, but imagine if I didn't open up to him to explain that I'm struggling in this area. Of course, you have to be respectful and appreciative. Sometimes they will throw some curveballs at you, and you have to embrace them respectfully. And still appreciate them for even considering you worthy of having to do that hard thing, that tough thing. So respectfully, and you have to be appreciative, and then you have to be willing to apply and share the knowledge. So as a mentee, you also must mentor people. So as I'm standing with you, I'm in a chain. I have people ahead of me that I call, that I reach out to actively, and I have people that also reaches out to me. So it's a chain. As I'm learning from the people ahead of me, I'm also sharing knowledge with people I believe could learn from me. So you're in a chain, you will continuously be in a chain. No matter how high you've risen, there will be people ahead of you who will be alive enough to share their growth journey for you. If you're 80, you meet people in their 90s who will be wiser than you, who will be stronger, more connected than you. If you're 90, you meet people that are above you. So it's just the way of life. And I just use chronological age in that range. Some people might not even be 90, but they have the experience that is beyond that 90 years old person. So I just wanted to know that a mentee also has his own responsibility. Next month, I would continue on the concept of transformational mentorship, and I will help you link or connect the dot between the power, the wisdom, the love balance with building capacity in terms of character, competence, um, compassionate, courageous, consistent, and even with clarity of purpose. So I'll connect these together. Why you should join is because when you understand the power dynamics between the mentor and the mentee, when you understand the knowledge gap between mentor and the mentee, when you understand how a mentor is designed to create an environment that works on the concept of leadership love, how that happens, when you're able to connect that, it would help you to easily fit in a mentorship process and benefit excellently from it. The world has a lot of challenges as it is. We have the younger minds wanting to become more expressive, more entitled, more expectant. But you also have the leaders who also want to be more rigid, more authoritarian in their approach. And they also want people to follow due process at all cost. And they want to also be like a commander in chief, quote and unquote. So because there's that imbalance between the two realms, we're throwing the concept of transformation away, especially transformational mentorship away. And this is a crucial gap. The gap is that if we allow this to thrive, you're going to have a generation that will be lost to illusion. They will live in a world, in a bubble that they will create for themselves. And by the time modern nature is showing them their true nature, they will be in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, and they will already be cast in stone, and it will be difficult to mold them into their proper destiny that will fit into their generation. I was talking with my son yesterday, and he told me, when you talk about mentorship, are you talking about generation alpha or beta, or what generation are you actually talking about being mentored? It was a good question that struck me. And remember, I started with a question: who will mentor the next generation? But the crucial response I had, or I told him, is this: the older generation owes responsibility to mentor the next generation. Either alpha, beta, Gen Z, it is the responsibility of a mentor to find an adaptive way to connect with them and then to be able to pour content into them. Because if you fail at that point, just because you think the way they think is different from the way you expect them to think, and because of that we abandon them, then they will create a new, completely new world order. If they have not been doing that, but they'll create a new, completely new world order where we will lose the value system that makes the world a great place to be. And then we'll also lose the capacity to cause their minds to move from a socialized mind to a transformed mind. So I leave you with this question: who will mentor the next generation? I hope you would also rise up to the responsibility of being in a chain of learning from mentors ahead of you, and also sharing the knowledge with the mentees behind you. Thank you so much. I wouldn't know if you have a question. Do we have anyone with a question, please? Maybe one question would do. I know because of the technical glitch, we had to spend more time. But if you don't want to speak, you can put the question in the chat. I'll just give you 60 seconds to do that. And if there are no questions, then we can. end the class. And I want to appreciate everyone for joining. I can see your names. Thank you so much. So if I don't get any question in the chat in the next, oh, okay, I see. So how does peer pressure work in terms of mentorship? Okay, I want to get the context of the question properly. How does peer pressure work in terms of mentorship? So peer pressure for the mentee.
Yeah, because the younger generation might want to be mentored, but might be seen as being out of the pack. You are the only one doing that. Who does that? What information do you want to ask that mentor that is not online? You know, that kind of vibe.
Thank you so
It's
much.
people tend to see it more like it's old school.
Excellent.
It's not something that is common in this generation. It's more like people that mentor are trying to force themselves now to mentor people, and the younger generation are not seeing the positive side of it. They're not seeing that that person is going to be investing their own time. So how are they going to be able to deal with the peer pressure of you are doing what is not the norm?
Excellent. Wow, that's a deep question. Thank you for asking that. So, this is the way to look at it. If you're a young mind, and the truth is, I have never seen anyone who I'd never read the autobiography or story or heard about anyone who became great just by themselves. Someone has to mentor you, someone has to believe in you, push you up, mention your name, put in a word for you, and all those. Let's establish that. So that will first help anyone on the call or listening thereafter to understand the role of mentorship in their journey. So you cannot just become all by yourself. The second bit to it was what I echoed the other time. You can outgrow a mentor and move to another one. That's another one. Now, for the peer pressure, this is the challenge. If you would ever become great too, as a mentee, you need to separate yourself from some group, some team, some pressure, some peers. Okay, I would answer the second question that came in now. So you need to separate yourself from some group. I said something earlier on. I said if you want to become great, you have to master the art of isolation and assimilation. Isolation is when you're able to do things that is not common for your generation or for your age. You're able to separate yourself and say, okay, I want to go and learn this thing. It's not something that everyone is doing. So if you want to give yourself to the art of mentorship, then you have to invest in it. Then that means you would have to separate yourself and say, even though my peers are not doing this. The second problem is whenever someone tells you, can't you just get the information online? Tell them, beautiful. I can get the information, the knowledge online. But one thing you don't know is that there's a transitioning between the knowledge which you're just gathering, that's superficial knowledge. It takes time for superficial knowledge to marinate into your heart. When you meet a mentor will most likely share not only the knowledge with you, but they will share experience with you. When they tell you their story, their experiences, those experiences would actually sit down with you more than even the story or what you will read on AI or on Google. So the reason why you need to be more focused on dealing with peer pressure and separating yourself and isolating yourself is that you know that no matter the wealth of knowledge or information you have around you, to be able to transition that information to something you can apply in chunks, to break them down into principles, it's a great journey. I'm working on a book currently, and one of my key reviewers, one of the key people who believe so much in me, who is reviewing the book, and that's my wife now. She said something. She said, "I love the fact that now you're paying more attention to the practical applications of on how people can become transformed." And so you would see that as much as I was trying to give examples. So the difference between reading something, having a knowledge online, and meeting with someone who is also going through the process of mentorship themselves and who is mentoring you is that they're able to share practical, real life challenges that they also have been through. They're able to churn it out for you. And at the end, they're able to tell you this is the next to do. When you have someone who is able to simplify things at that point, you've been blessed. you're blessed. And now for the second part that says, how can online mentorship be valid? Of course, I know that if you're, and I want to be careful to say this, yeah. In agile project management, we believe in meeting one-on-one, face-to-face meeting. That's like the maximum. That's like the perfect scenario. But we now live in a world where we all cannot live in the same environment together. We have to be sincere. I cannot be in two geographical locations at the same time. I'm not a spirit. So the online is the next thing to the face-to-face. So I would say the online gives you an extra advantage. You can record so that you can re-listen. The online gives you an extra advantage. You can align the timing to any time that works for both of you. Unlike face to face, where once it gives you meet me at 5 p.m., you have to stop every other thing you're doing by 4 so that you start navigating towards that place by 5. But the online advantage is I can still work till 4:58 and then join an online platform by 4:59 and still be able to talk to the person. But if we have to meet face to face, I must stop whatever I'm doing by 4 and start finding my way to that geographical location. So why am I saying this? I'm just trying to give you the excellent balance between the two sides. It has its own pros and cons. So as much as online can work very well and gives you a point to ask questions ahead of time, do a lot of things, also along the line, find a way to meet people one-on-one. When you meet them one-on-one, there are some things they will tell you when they meet you, when they see you. Someone once told me, look, stop calling this person. Try to visit the place. And trust me, when I visited the place, I actually saw favor. I traveled down all the way to come and meet the person. When I gave the person my CV and he was flipping around, I was asking him, so when would the interview be? The man told me, you're already doing the interview. So you can imagine, with everything we've said online, it still didn't make the difference that way. So leverage the online for as much as possible, but when you have the capacity to actually meet the person one-on-one, please do everything to meet them. I'm planning a trip in a couple of months, and I'm telling my wife, okay, I need 1 or 2 extra days because I want to actually visit 2 people in Baltimore, and I want to meet them one-on-one. And because of that, I have to I have to get extra days into the plan of the trip. So that's how important it is for you. So we live in a world where we have to be realistic with ourselves, to know that as beautiful as online platforms can be, it will not replace the real time. So that's just okay. So I have the third question: can we make someone a mentor without him? Or it's not possible. I told you mentorship cannot be passive. It has to be active, and you have to. It's always better when there is the connection between the mentor and the mentee. But in most cases, what I've seen is that a mentor peaks ambition or peaks talent in the mentee or peaks interest in the mentee, if I can put it that way. It's that interest that generates the whole journey. If the mentor doesn't find the person worth investing their time in, it's always a difficult thing for you to get that kind of person to mentor you. So it's not possible for you to have a mentor who is not even aware that he is mentoring you. That's and I understand what you're saying. There's a way in an organization where you can also be passively mentored, but that will not lead to what we call a transformational outcome. You could just benefit from that person because of his benevolence and his general disdain. But if you really want to make it to the next phase of greatness, please, you have to commit more energy. You have to be more active about it. You can see it requires a lot of dedication and action. And for them to build into a solution, it won't just happen passively. Thank you. So I appreciate everyone for the questions. Thank you so much. And please have a great and excellent weekend. Bye.